Alrighty guys, we're coming fresh off another winning day of personal sports bets on my website yesterday. And that's going to extend our winning streak to 6-0 in our last 6 Major League Baseball tier package bets. But before we get into some more of that, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to the video here today for Friday, August 12th, 2022. My name is Brock Page and I've been doing sports picks for free right here on YouTube for 7 years. I also sell my personal bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. Once again, guys, I'm 6-0 in my last 6 Major League Baseball tier package bets. Now, the MLB tier is a package that I offer on that website. And if you sign up for that red-hot membership here today, you're actually going to get access to that package every single day all the way through the end of August. Of course, I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. Now, guys, I currently have over 565 members who are signed up and active on that website right now. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side, and total. And what I do on patreon.com/BrockPage is I actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to take a look at the Braves squaring off against the Marlins, 6:40 p.m. East. Atlanta's the $1.50 favorite, total 7.5. Jake Odorizzi for the Braves, Pablo Lopez for Miami. And even though Pablo's been outstanding this year, he does come into today's ball game with an average 7-7 record. Now, the Fish have also dropped 7 out of their last 10 as a team, and they scored only 1.9 runs a game during that stretch. Now, they're taking on Jake Odorizzi here today, who's 4-3 on the year with an ERA in the 3s. Now, the Braves also have one of the best hitting lineups in the league right now. These guys are actually leading the National League in home runs. Austin Riley has a team-best 30 home runs along with 74 RBI. The slugger's actually in the top 5 in baseball in both of those categories. He's in the top 10 in baseball in home runs and OPS. And when it comes to the total, the Braves did hold Miami to just 3.8 runs a game in their last 10 contests with each other. And when it comes to the Marlins on the other side, they went 9-1 to the under in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward Atlanta -150 and the under 7.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Pods Nats, 7:05 East. San Diego's -250, totals 9. Mike Clevenger for San Diego, Corey Abbott for Washington. And out of just 12 2/3 innings of work, Corey Abbott's already got himself an ERA in the 5s. Meanwhile, as a team, the Nationals lost 8 out of their last 10, and they have significant problems hitting it out of the park. They're in the bottom 3 in home runs, and they average only 3.9 runs a game for the entire year. Now, they're also facing Mike Clevenger here today, who's got an ERA in the 3s along with a 1.12 whip. Now, the Pods also won their last 2 straight, and they scored 20 total runs in those victories. Manny Machado is the club leader in batting average, home runs, and RBI. He's actually in the top 25 in baseball in all 3 of those categories I just mentioned. Now, when it comes to the number, 7 out of San Diego's last 10 ball games did get over the total. Meanwhile, Washington went 80% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean towards San Diego -1.5 and the over 9. Next ball game, it is going to be Guardians Blue Jays, 7:07 East. Toronto's -165, totals 9. Jose Barrios for Toronto, Cal Quantrill for Cleveland. Now, Cal's 8-5 on the season with an ERA in the 3s. The Red Hot Guardians have also won their last 5 straight, and they're leading the majors in road hits. Andres Jimenez currently has the highest batting average on the team at .304. Meanwhile, Jose Ramirez is 3rd in the bigs with 88 runs batted in. Now, they're taking on Jose Barrios, who gives up his fair share of runs himself. Barrios has an ERA in the 5s along with a 1.35 whip. Now, the Jays have also dropped 5 out of their last 7, and they've had a tough time cashing in on the run line here recently. These guys actually failed to cover the 1.5 in 6 out of their last 10 ball games. Now, when it comes to the scoring, out of these teams' last 10 meetings with each other, 60% of those contests got over the line. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. Meanwhile, Cleveland on the other side, they actually went 12-1 to the over in their last 13 Quantrill starts. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland plus 1.5, keeping this one close, and the over 9. Next ball game, O's Rays, 7:10 p.m. East. Tampa Bay's minus 150, total 7.5. Corey Kluber for Tampa Bay, Austin Voth for Baltimore. And out of just 18 2/3 innings of work this year, Austin Voth's been a nightmare. He's already got himself an ERA of 10.13. The O's have also been pretty bad in divisional play on the road. Out of 22 away games against the AL East, Baltimore's gotten the W just 7 times. Now, they're also taking on a Tampa club on the other side who likes to beat up on divisional opponents in the Trop. These guys are 17-8 straight up against the AL East at home. They also have Corey Kluber on the bump, who's got a winning record and a 1.15 whip. Now, when it comes to the scoring, 7 out of Tampa's last 10 ball games fell under the posted total. They're also 64% to the under in their divisional home games. Meanwhile, their opponents here today saw 2 out of their, Baltimore, they saw 2 out of their last 3 Austin Voth starts fall under the total somehow. I'm going to lean toward Tampa Bay, minus 150, and the under 7.5. All right, next ball game, little divisional rivalry here. I'm talking about the Yankees squaring off against the Red Sox. That's going to be a 7:10 Eastern first pitch at Fenway. The Yankees are minus $1.25 in Beantown, totals 9.5. Domingo Germán for New York, Nathan Eovaldi for Boston. And even though the Nate Dog's having a fairly solid year, his ERA has crept up into the 4s. Meanwhile, as a team, the Bo Sox lost 6 out of their last 8, and they actually have a losing record right now at Fenway. They're taking on a Yankee club on the other side who's averaging nearly 5.5 runs a game this year, and they're leading the majors in home runs. Aaron Judge has a league-best 45 homers along with 99 runs batted in. He's also leading the Bigs with a 1.078 OPS. When it comes to the total, New York went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 outings. They're also averaging nearly 7.5 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with Boston. No real surprise here, guys. 8 out of those 10 ball games I just mentioned did get over the total. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. I'm going to lean toward the Yankees, minus $1.25, and the over 9.5. Next ball game, Phillies, Mets, 7:10 p.m. East. Now, New York's minus 210 in Flushing, Queens, total 7 runs. Max Scherzer for the Mets, Ranger Suarez for Philadelphia. And despite a solid year for Suarez, he has seen his whip creep up to a 1.37. When it comes to offensive production, although the Phils have had little problems offensively, well, Philadelphia has averaged less than 3 runs a game in their most recent 3-game series with Miami. Now they're taking on a dominant Max Scherzer, who's 8-2 with a 1.98 ERA. Max also has 120 strikeouts in just 95-plus innings, along with a .90 whip. Now the Red Hot Mets are also on a 6-game winning streak, and they continue to pound the baseball. These guys are actually in the top 3 in the majors right now in runs per game. Pete Alonso is responsible for much of that. The first baseman has an NL best 96 RBI on the season. He's also in the top 5 in the entire league in homers with 29. Meanwhile, Jeff McNeil's hitting a team best 307. When it comes to the numbers, 7 out of New York's last 10 outings did get over the total. They're also 69% to the over against the NL East in Flushing, Queens. Meanwhile, the Phils have gone 63% to the over in their divisional road games. I'm going to lean toward the Mets, minus 1.5, and the over 7. Next ball game, more divisional play. I'm talking about the Tigers squaring off against the White Sox. 7:10 Eastern first pitch on the south side. Now, Chicago's minus 220, totals 8.5. Michael Kopech for Chicago, Daniel Norris for Detroit. Norris is a dismal 0-4 in the year with an ERA almost in the 7s. The Tigers have also lost 8 out of their last 10, and they have one of the worst hitting lineups in baseball. They're dead last in scoring, dead last in OPS. They're also facing Michael Kopech, who's got a .338 ERA and a 1.23 whip. Meanwhile, as a team, the Sox have also done a real nice job getting on base. They're in the top 5 in team batting average, and they're also led by Tim Anderson, who's hitting .301. Meanwhile, teammate Luis Robert, he's still the club leader in runs batted in. When it comes to the total, Chicago went 60% to the under in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, Detroit 17-8 to the under against the AL Central on the road. I'm going to lean toward Chicago, the White Sox -1.5, and the under 8.5. Next ball game, more divisional action. I'm talking about Mariners, Rangers, 8:05 East. Seattle's the $2 favorite, totals 8.5. George Kirby for the M's, Josh Sborz for Texas. Now, Sborz has just 15 1/3 innings of work under his belt, and they haven't been great. He's got an ERA close to 6, along with a 1.57 whip. Meanwhile, as a team, the Rangers lost 7 out of their last 10 contests, and they played their worst baseball at Globe Life Field. They're taking on a Mariner team who got the W in 6 out of their last 9 themselves. Now, the Seattle Mariners also have one of the craftier pitching staffs in baseball, one of the better pitching staffs, at least in the American League, but I'm talking about the entire majors. These guys are allowing only 3.9 runs a game for the entire year, and they rank in the top 10 in the entire majors in fewest hits allowed. Now, starting pitcher George Kirby, he comes into today's contest with a .340 ERA and a 1.17 whip. Now, when it comes to the total, the M's have held Texas to just 3.2 runs a game in their last 10 meetings. Seattle's also 32-22 to the under against the AL West. Meanwhile, Texas, on the other side, they saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Seattle fall under the line. I'm going to lean toward the Mariners -1.5 and the under 8.5. All right, next contest, a little more AL West action. I'm talking about Oakland squaring off against Houston, 8:10 Eastern start time. Now, the Astros are the $3.45 favorite at home. Totals 8.5. Luis Garcia for the Astros, Adam Oller for Oakland. Now, Oller's just 1-5 on the season with a .763 ERA. The A's have also dropped 8 out of their last 10, and that includes their last 5 straight. Those were all losses. Now, these guys' biggest shortcoming this year is their performance at the plate, or lack thereof. Oakland's dead last in team batting average, and they're also scoring only 3.4 runs a game for the entire year. They're also taking on Luis Garcia here today, who's got an ERA in the 3s, a 1.10 whip, along with 117 strikeouts. And of course, this Astros lineup can hit the long ball at any given moment. They're in the top 3 in homers, top 10 in OPS. Yordan Alvarez has a team-best 31 home runs, which actually ranks 3rd in the bigs. Now, he's also 2nd in the majors with a 1.033 OPS. When it comes to the total, the Astros are currently 35-22 to the under in their divisional ball games. Meanwhile, Oakland, that seems a bit high, but I guess that's the number. They've seen a lot of unders in divisional play. 35-22. That's 57 divisional games already. We'll have to double check that. But a lot of unders in their divisional games. Now, Oakland on the other side, they are 63% to the under in their road games against the AL West. I'm going to lean toward Houston -1.5 and the under 8.5. All right, next ball game, little interleague action. I'm talking about Dodgers Royals 8:10 East. The LA Dodgers are -230 on the road, totals 9. Tony Gonsolin for Los Angeles, Daniel Lynch for Kansas City. Now, Lynch is just 4-7 with an ERA close to 5. The Royals have also had a tough time in interleague play this year. They've won just 4 out of 12 against the National League, and their lineups had difficulty producing runs. These guys are in the bottom 5 in homers, bottom 10 in scoring. They're also facing Tony Gonsolin, who's been near perfect this season. Gons is 13-1 with a 2.30 ERA and a .89 WHIP. Now, these Dodger hitters are also still crushing the baseball. They're leading the entire major leagues in runs per game and OPS. Trey Turner has a team best 81 runs batted in. He's currently in the top 10 in both batting average and RBI. Meanwhile, teammate Mookie Betts, he has the most home runs he has the most homers in the organization right now. When it comes to the total, LA went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, Kansas City went 9-3 to the over in their last dozen against the NL. I'm going to lean toward the Dodgers, -1.5, over 9. Next game, Brewers, Cardinals, 8:15 East. St. Louis is -175 at home, totals 8 runs. Jordan Montgomery for St. Louis, Eric Lauer for Milwaukee. Now, Montgomery comes into today's contest with a 3.69 ERA and a 1.10 WHIP. The Brewers are also doing a nice job hitting for power. They're in the top 5 in home runs, top 10 in OPS. Rowdy Tellez has a team best 23 homers and 71 RBI. Now, the big man's in the top 20 in the bigs in both of those categories. Meanwhile, Christian Yelich is the club leader in batting average. Now, they're taking on a Cardinals team who lost 2 out of their last 3. And they allowed 29 total runs during that 3-game span. And when it comes to the hitting, the Cards have struggled producing runs against Milwaukee. They've been held to less than 3.8 runs a game in their last 10 meetings. Now, when it comes to the total, the Cards are 14-8 to the over in their divisional home games. Meanwhile, Milwaukee's gone 18-9 to the over against the NL Central on the road. I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee +1.5 and the over 8. Next ball game, D-backs, Rockies, 8:40 p.m. East. Colorado's -1.25, totals 12.5. Antonio Sensatella for Colorado, Zach Davies for Arizona. Now, Davies has just 2 wins this year in 87 innings pitched. He's also got an ERA in the 4s, and the D-backs as a team, they've really struggled with divisional opponents. These guys are just 3-13 this year against the NL West on the road. They're also taking on a Rockies team on the other side who scores more runs at home than any other club in baseball. Now, Jose Iglesias is 4th in the majors with a .320 batting average. Meanwhile, CJ Cron has a team best 80 runs batted in, which actually ranks 7th in the league. Now, total-wise, Colorado's last 3 straight contests at Coors Field got over the line. They're also 8-2 to the over in their last 10 at any location. Meanwhile, the D-backs went 80% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Rockies, -1.25, and the over 12.5. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Twins taking on the Angels, 9:38 Eastern first pitch. Minnesota's -130, totals 8 runs. Tyler Mahle for Minnesota, Patty Sandoval for Los Angeles. Now, Patty's just 3-7 on the season for the Angels with a 1.47 WHIP. Meanwhile, as a team, the Angels have a losing record at home this year, and they strike out more times a game at the plate than any other team in baseball. Now, they're facing Tyler Mahle here today, who's got a 1.25 WHIP, along with 114 strikeouts. Now, the Twins have also done a real nice job getting base runners. They're currently in the top 10 in team batting average, and they're led by Luis Arias, who's hitting a league-best .333 at the dish. Meanwhile, teammate Byron Buxton, he's doing a nice job hitting for power. He's 6th in the league right now in homers with 27. Now, when it comes to the number, Minnesota went 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games. Meanwhile, LA saw 4 out of their last 6 Patty Sandoval starts get over the line. I'm going to lean toward Minnesota -130 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It is going to be Pirates taking on the Giants, 10:15 Eastern first pitch. San Francisco's the $2.70 favorite at home, total 7.5. Carlos Rodon for San Francisco, Bryce Wilson for Pittsburgh. Now, Bryce is just 2-6 on the year with an ERA of 5.86. The Buccos also lost 5 out of their last 7 as a team, and they have one of the worst hitting lineups in baseball. These guys are averaging just 3.7 runs a game for the year, and they're actually second to last in strikeouts per game at the plate. They also have to face Carlos Rodon, who's fanned 161 batters, just 128 plus. Now, the lefty's also 10-6 on the year with a 1.07 whip, along with an ERA in the 2s. And even if Rodon has a bad day, the Giants still manage to manufacture runs. They're in the top 10 in scoring, top 10 in homers. Now, when it comes to the totals, San Fran went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh saw 5 out of their last 7 road games get over the line. I'm going to lean toward the Giants -1.5. And the over 7.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap for Friday, August 12th, 2022. And as always, guys, our quick pick recap is powered to you by my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where I'm currently 6-0 in my last 6 Major League Baseball tier package bets. I like the Braves -150, under 7.5. Give me the Padres -1.5, over 9. I like Cleveland +1.5, over 9 runs. Give me Tampa Bay -150, under 7.5. I like the Yankees -1.25, over 9.5 runs. Give me the Mets -1.5, over 7. I like the White Sox -1.5, under 8.5. Give me Seattle -1.5, under 8.5 runs. Give me Houston -1.5, under 8.5. LA Dodgers -1.5, over 9. Milwaukee +1.5, over 8. Colorado -1.25, over 12.5. Minnesota -130, over 8. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that if you want to see which one of these free picks on this video that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. I like the Giants -1.5 and the over 7.5. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website here today. But most important, got to say happy birthday to my dad. August 12th, happy birthday to the big guy. I believe he's actually on a business trip with my brother right now. I was going to bring him some cheesesteaks today, but I think he's on the road. I'm actually not sure. But anyway, he typically watches every day, so if you're watching, love you, Dad, and happy birthday. Hopefully it's a great one for you today. All right, guys, most importantly, well, that's the most important, but secondly, I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.